Laura Jacobs was only 16 years old, yet she had already experienced more pain than most people do in a lifetime. With the cool night air wrapping around her like a blanket, she sat alone on a worn bench at the bus stop. Her eyes darted nervously, scanning the empty street for any sign of help or hope. The darkness felt heavy, its weight matched only by the fear that lodged in her chest. She had finally found the courage to run from her abusive home but was now left with nowhere to go. Every creak of a passing car made her heart race. Would they stop? Would someone reach out and offer her comfort? As she waited, memories flooded back, shouts, tears, and the feeling of being trapped. She longed for safety, a place where she could breathe without fear holding her down. In that moment of uncertainty, the roar of a sleek Porsche broke through her thoughts. It rolled to a stop beside her, and Laura couldn't help but notice the driver, a familiar face from magazines and movie screens. James Dean looked at her with concern in his eyes, and in that instant, everything shifted. Laura felt seen for the first time in a long while. The bus stop was dimly lit, with flickering fluorescent lights that cast eerie shadows on the pavement. An old wooden bench barely provided comfort as Laura sat, the rough texture digging into the back of her legs. She pulled her knees close to her chest, trying to ward off both the chill in the air and the deeper shivers of anxiety coursing through her. The street stretched out before her like a long, dark tunnel, devoid of life. Only the distant sound of waves crashing against rocks reminded her that there was a world beyond this lonely spot. Every sound felt amplified, the rustle of leaves, the whisper of the wind, and even her own thoughts swirling in her mind. Each passing car seemed like a fleeting glimpse of hope, but they rushed by without stopping. Laura's heart sank deeper with every moment that ticked by. She felt isolated in her struggle, surrounded by an overwhelming feeling of despair. With each breath she took, waves of doubt washed over her. How would she find safety? Where would she go next? All around her, darkness enveloped everything like a heavy blanket, threatening to swallow any light or love that once existed in her life. Just a few blocks away, the lights of a gas station flickered against the night sky. James Dean, stepping out of his sleek Porsche, filled up the tank, oblivious to the world around him. As he waited for the pump to click off, he glanced toward the bus stop and noticed a figure hunched over on the bench. Curiosity pulled his gaze closer, and in that moment he saw her, Laura. Her distressed expression caught his attention like a magnet. He could see the fear in her eyes, which seemed to reflect a lifetime of hurt and uncertainty. James felt a tug at his heartstrings. Even amidst his busy life in Hollywood, he understood what it felt like to be lost and alone. He wiped his hands on his jeans and made his way over to her. "Hey there," he said gently, trying to ease her tension. "Are you okay?" Laura looked up, startled by the sudden voice breaking through her thoughts. She recognized him immediately. Her mind raced as she processed the fact that a star was standing right in front of her. For a brief moment, the chaos of her life seemed to fade away, replaced by a glimmer of unexpected hope. James Dean knelt down beside Laura, his expression sincere and warm. "Hey, you look like you could use a friend," he said softly, hoping to ease her tension. Laura felt a mix of surprise and relief wash over her. Here was a star who seemed genuinely concerned about her well-being. Without hesitation, he continued, "Would you like a ride? My car's just over there." He gestured to his shiny Porsche parked nearby, its sleek lines glinting in the dim light. The offer hung in the air between them, filled with possibilities. Laura hesitated for a moment, fear bubbling up inside her. Yet something in James's kind eyes and gentle demeanor urged her to trust him. Maybe this was the help she had been longing for, a chance to escape the darkness that surrounded her. "Okay," she finally whispered, her voice barely above a breath. With a nod of encouragement, James stood and led her to the car. As they settled into the plush leather seats, Laura felt a strange sense of comfort envelop her. For the first time in what felt like forever, she had someone looking out for her, and it filled her with hope as they began their journey together along the coast. As Laura sat in the plush leather seat of James's Porsche, a whirlwind of emotions flooded her mind. Though the car was warm and inviting, she couldn't shake off the nagging feeling of fear that had followed her since she ran away. Accepting a ride from a stranger, even one as famous as James Dean, felt like a leap into the unknown. What if he turned out to be just like the people she was trying to escape? Her heart raced as she glanced at him, his kind eyes reflecting genuine concern. Was this a moment of kindness or an impulsive mistake? The conflict inside her made it hard to breathe. She remembered her past. Trust had been broken so many times before, and every instinct in her screamed to be cautious. Taking a deep breath, Laura reminded herself that not everyone was like those she had left behind. This could be a chance for something different, something better. Slowly, she began to relax, realizing that sometimes vulnerability is necessary to find safety. As they drove along the coast, the beauty outside began to drown out her fears, hinting at the possibility of a brighter future ahead. As they drove along the scenic coast, the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. The ocean sparkled beside them, waves crashing rhythmically against the rocks, creating a soothing soundtrack that contrasted sharply with Laura's troubled past. Each mile they covered felt like a step away from her previous life, yet memories lingered in her mind like shadows. Laura gazed out the window, captivated by the beauty outside as the wind tousled her hair. The cliffs stood majestically against the backdrop of the setting sun, reminding her that there were places of wonder in the world. For so long, she had felt trapped in a cycle of pain and fear. Now, each glance at the ocean brought a flicker of hope and possibility. James drove in comfortable silence, occasionally glancing over to check on her. His presence felt steadying, like an anchor amidst the stormy thoughts swirling in her head. She knew she was far from healing, but as the sun dipped lower, illuminating their path ahead, Laura started to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could find peace and a new beginning. As the car glided along the winding coast, a peaceful quiet settled between Laura and James. The rhythmic sound of the waves crashing against the shore filled the air, providing a soothing backdrop that allowed her thoughts to wander. Laura stared out the window, watching the last rays of sunlight dance across the water. It was a moment to reflect, a rare pause in her chaotic life. Memories flooded back to her, moments of fear in her home, the feeling of being trapped, and the courage it took to finally run away. Each choice she had made, each painful decision that led her here, played in her mind like an old film reel. She thought about her family, and how love had turned into something dark and hurtful. Yet, amidst those memories, she also felt a spark of strength. She had fought for her freedom. Laura realized that though the road ahead was uncertain, this ride represented a turning point. With James beside her, she felt supported for the first time in ages. Perhaps this journey would lead her not just away from pain but towards healing and hope. In that stillness, she began to believe in a future where she could finally feel safe and loved again. As the car continued its journey along the coast, Laura felt a gentle urge to share her story. The serene environment and James's supportive presence created a safe space for her to open up about her past. Taking a deep breath, she hesitated for a moment before speaking, her voice trembling slightly. "I ran away from home," she began, her words spilling out like long-held secrets finally freed. "It was really hard there. My parents fought all the time, and it felt like I was trapped in a nightmare." She glanced over at James, whose eyes remained focused on the road but conveyed understanding and compassion. "I often felt scared," she continued, her heart racing as she revealed more. "Sometimes my dad would get angry, and I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to feel safe." A wave of vulnerability washed over her as she spoke those words aloud for the first time. James listened intently, nodding gently as she shared the pain she had kept buried. "You're brave for leaving," he said softly. "You deserve to find peace." His words sank deep within her, giving her strength to confront the painful memories that had haunted her for so long. In sharing her story, Laura started to feel lighter, as if shedding the weight of silence. As Laura shared her story, she noticed James's quiet attention. He listened intently, his kind expression revealing a deep understanding of her pain. When she finished speaking, James took a moment before responding, carefully choosing his words. You know, he said softly, everyone deserves to feel safe and loved. No one should have to go through what you experienced. His voice was steady, filled with sincerity. Laura could see that he meant every word. It felt comforting to hear those sentiments expressed by someone who had no obligation to care but chose to do so anyway. It's okay to feel scared and overwhelmed, he continued gently. What you did took incredible strength. You left a situation that wasn't right for you. Feeling the warmth of his support wrap around her like a blanket, Laura managed a small smile, the first one in a long time. She appreciated that he was not just offering platitudes. He truly understood the gravity of her situation. Encouraged by his compassion, she felt more bravely hopeful about the future. They drove on, both aware that this conversation marked an important step in Laura's journey toward healing and self-acceptance. As the conversation flowed, James felt a connection building between them. He sensed that Laura's courage to share her experiences opened the door for him to share something personal as well. You know, he began, his tone more serious. I've had my own struggles too. Laura turned to him, intrigued, eager to hear more. James continued, growing up in the spotlight isn't always easy. People see the glitz and glam of fame, but they don't realize how lonely it can be. I often felt pressure to be perfect and ended up losing touch with what truly mattered, like real friendships and my own happiness. Laura listened intently, her heart softening as she realized that even someone like James faced challenges. Sometimes I felt trapped by expectations, he admitted, glancing out at the ocean for a moment before meeting her gaze again. But it taught me that it's okay to ask for help and that everyone needs support at times. His vulnerability encouraged Laura further, making her feel less alone in their shared experiences. They exchanged stories and laughter, understanding that their journeys were different yet intertwined by common threads of pain and hope. In that moment, Laura felt a bond forming, a connection built on trust that would guide her toward healing. As they continued down the winding road, Laura felt a warmth spreading in her chest, a flicker of hope igniting within her. James's understanding and compassion had created a safe space where she could reflect on her dreams for the future. For so long, she had been engulfed in darkness, but now, surrounded by the beauty of the coast and the kindness of James, she began to envision possibilities beyond her pain. What do you want for your future? James asked, breaking the silence. The question caught her off guard, but instead of fear, it sparked a wave of excitement within her. With every mile they traveled away from her past, she could feel chains of doubt starting to loosen. I want to feel safe, Laura replied, her voice steady and determined. I want to find a place where I can be happy and not worry all the time. James nodded, encouragingly. You can achieve that. You're already taking the first step. In that moment, Laura realized that she was not defined by her past. Inspired by James's support, she felt stronger and more capable than ever before. Hope blossomed like the flowers lining the road ahead, filling her with renewed courage to embrace whatever came next. As they drove further along the coast, a small coastal town began to take shape in the distance. The sun had dipped low, casting a golden hue over quaint cottages and charming shops that lined the streets. Laura's heart fluttered with anticipation as they entered the town, feeling a sense of comfort and new beginnings wash over her. James pulled into a cozy inn, its warm lights glowing invitingly against the fading daylight. Laura stared out the window, captivated by the sight of children playing in a nearby park and couples strolling hand in hand. This place felt different, it felt safe. For the first time since she ran away, she could envision a life filled with laughter and joy. Are you ready? James asked gently as he parked the car. Laura took a deep breath, feeling both nervous and excited. I think so, she replied, her voice steady. As they stepped out of the Porsche, she glanced up at James, grateful for his support. This was her chance to start over, to seek shelter from her past and build a future filled with hope. Walking toward the inn together, Laura realized this moment was not just about finding refuge. It was about reclaiming her life and embracing new possibilities ahead. As Laura stood outside the cozy inn, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here and how one act of kindness had changed her life so dramatically. James Dean, a stranger to her just hours before, had offered her a ride that had turned into a lifeline. His compassion had given her the courage to share her story, and in doing so, she had begun to heal. In that moment, she understood the profound impact that even small gestures can have on someone in need. It reminded her that kindness exists in unexpected places and from unexpected people. Just as she had once felt isolated and trapped, she now recognized the power of connection and empathy. Laura thought about how James's willingness to help a scared girl at a bus stop transformed her outlook on life. She felt grateful for his genuine care and support, which lit a spark of hope within her heart. As she took a deep breath, preparing to enter the inn, Laura vowed to pay this kindness forward. She wanted to be someone who could offer support to others in need, just as James had done for her. This realization marked the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with compassion, connection, and the promise of brighter days ahead. As Laura stepped into the cozy inn, she felt a wave of excitement mixed with nervousness. This place represented more than just a roof over her head, it symbolized her new beginning. With each step, she left behind the shadows of her past and embraced the opportunities that lay ahead. The warmth of the inn enveloped her, and she could already envision herself creating a life filled with joy and laughter. Laura's heart swelled with newfound courage as she thought about the friends she would make and the dreams she would chase. She realized that her journey was just beginning, and although challenges might arise, she now had the strength to face them head-on. Inspired by James's kindness, she felt empowered to take control of her future. In that moment, Laura made a promise to herself. She would not only seek happiness for herself but also find ways to help others who were struggling. She understood that everyone deserves kindness and support, just as she had received from James. With a deep breath, Laura walked toward the reception desk, ready to start this new chapter in her life. She felt lighter and more hopeful than ever before, excited to explore all the possibilities that awaited her in this small coastal town. As Laura settled into her new life, she couldn't help but reflect on how far she had come. The memories of her past still lingered, but they no longer defined her. Instead, she felt a sense of resilience blossoming within her, fueled by the kindness of a stranger who had changed her trajectory. James Dean's simple act of compassion not only offered her hope that day but also ignited a passion within her to spread kindness to others. Laura realized that everyone faces struggles, and sometimes, a small gesture can have a monumental impact on someone's life. She wanted to be that light for others who felt lost or alone, just as James had been for her. With each day that passed in the coastal town, she embraced new opportunities, finding joy in the little moments. A friendly smile from a neighbor, the laughter of children playing in the park, and the beauty of nature surrounding her. The journey ahead might be challenging, but Laura knew she was equipped with the strength to face anything. Her heart was open to healing, connection, and growth. In this new chapter of her life, she vowed to carry forward the message of compassion and hope, believing wholeheartedly in its power to transform lives.